Let's continue a little bit with the Montreal Canadiens and their drafted prospects. From the 2019 NHL Entry Draft, today we're covering the third selection for the Habs, Mattias Norlinder. We already talked about Caulfield twice? I think it was twice already. We talked about Jaden Struble, so next on the board is Mattias Norlinder, drafted in the third round, 64th overall by the Habs. He's an overager. And I think that's the biggest thing that people are going to identify first. Hey, what the heck is this? Why is he born in 2000? April 2000 is the birth date, a Swedish left-handed 6 foot 181 pound defender. So, Norlinder is a guy who was passed up in the 2018 NHL Entry Draft, but he's a player who did go in 2019. Taking a look at this article from HabsOnThePrize.com, it was actually said here that he was ranked 49th by Corey Pronman, 50th by McKeen's Hockey, and 51st by Hockey Prospects in their Black Book. So the fact that the Canadiens grabbed him at 64th is pretty darn solid. Mattias Norlinder is a guy who played his most recent season of hockey in the Modo Association. He's played with Modo in their Junior 18 teams and their Junior 20 teams throughout his career. Now, just looking at the stats, his draft year wasn't all that impressive, which is why he wasn't drafted in the 2018 NHL Entry Draft. However, his 2018-19 was pretty good, which was why he got drafted in the third round. He played 30 games played with Modo's Junior 20 team in the Super Elite and had 21 points as a defenseman. That's a pretty solid set of numbers, and in fact, it was so solid that Norlinder was promoted to the #1 Allsvenskan team for Modo. There, he played 14 games and had 6 points in the regular season. That's extraordinarily well for a guy who's just 18 years old. Now, of course, he is older than the other draft players, but we will take a look at it here. He did have a higher points per game in the Allsvenskan than Philip Broberg. And it was by quite a lot, too, so just taking a look at the numbers here, you can kind of see the output that Norlinder had in this league. Going into the playoffs, though, Norlinder was already establishing himself as a top 2 defenseman, and the only other D-man who played more minutes than Norlinder on Modo's Allsvenskan team was Tobias Enstrom. Yeah, Toby Enstrom, you remember him? He was in the NHL for a few years. He's a pretty solid, established defenseman. And Norlinder was trusted in the same echelon as this guy, playing in the Allsvenskan. In those playoffs, Norlinder grabbed himself 3 points in 5 games. In fact, in the Junior 20 Super Elite playoffs, he was over a point per game, which was really, really good for him. And honestly, it's just indicative of how Norlinder is a player that does step up at the big moments. Now, when it comes to the way he plays, Norlinder has been really praised throughout the past year for his skating. And his skating, his fluidity, is overall one of the best aspects of his game in its entirety. Combine that with some pretty good abilities with shooting and passing, and you have yourself a player that's really good at the breakout, and a guy who's really good at just bringing the puck in himself. Now, his puck skills are a little bit lackluster, they're kind of simple, they're kind of basic, but the overall package that you get is a solid, reliable player who's able to make the right decisions on the back end. Norlinder is a guy who, even though he is older, still has a lot of potential to grow into a potential top 6, top 4 left-handed NHL defender. He's quick, he's agile, he's fast, his skating is a very good tool in his arsenal, and he's not afraid to use it whenever he pleases. Combine all of this with a pretty good sense of hockey IQ, and you have yourself a player that's honestly a pretty intriguing prospect here. Should he have gone earlier? Maybe. Maybe so. But the fact of the matter is the Habs took him at 64, which is a really good spot for a guy like this, because he's already a pro hockey player, he's got 1 more year of experience than other guys drafted in this range, and the potential really is there towards eventually finding himself in the big leagues one day. Hope you enjoyed this video, //99, and bye.